we understood fundamentals, why AEM and all of that. Today we'll go one step further and we will understand the different ways in which I can start my AEM server. Okay. Now to start AEM server, right, I'm going to share the jar file and the license file with you. Okay. Now all you need to do is have JDK 1.7 or higher up and running. The moment you do that, right, for any server to start up, you need a port. Okay. So now basically here AEM can run in two modes, right? Now there are end users or visitors of the website, right? So when let's say when I open up any website like adobe.com, for example, the visitors of my website will be routed to an instance, right? My same AEM server can run in two modes, right? One is publish instance. This is a read-only mode, right? Whatever you see on publish is a read-only, right? Which means you cannot edit the different content within your website. And then you need to have an editable mode. This editable mode is called authoring, right? Now whatever I edit here goes to the publish instance. So this is called as the authoring mode and this is called as the publish mode. Okay. This is the same server that on a single machine, can I have more than one installation? Yes, you can have more than one author instance or more than one publish instance running on your same machine. So if you see this, let me go back. Right. I'm going to share the jar and the license file with you. Okay, this is a training license file. Now all you need to do is have JDK 1.7 or higher, and then this needs to work. Right. My JDK is up and running. Right. Now once that is there, you need some memory for your server to run. So AEM requires 8 GB of RAM. So if people are using 4 GB, you would want to upgrade your RAM, right? Typically you need about 2.5 to 3 GB for your AEM, another 2 GB for your Windows, so at least 5 to 6 GB is required. So I would suggest have 18, preferably 16. Okay, 16 GB of RAM. And then I will share this jar and license with you. Okay. So how do I know if my server is running as authoring mode or publish mode, right? It is all in the way you name the jar file. So in my case, right, this jar file, right, the way I would, my server is running on a port, right? The way I would name this is CQ hyphen. It could either run as author or publish, right? Which means, just give me a minute. Now my server, right, the way Adobe recommends you to name is CQ-mode, right? This mode is either author or publish. So I'm running an author, followed by P. P denotes the port number. Author instances run on even numbered port. So if I want my second instance on my same machine, then I will name it 4504. Publish instances run on odd numbered ports, so that's why CQ-publish-P4503.jar. This gives you a read-only mode. Okay. So what I will do is, first time when I am starting the server, okay, I could actually hard delete this or let this be, right? All I need to do is, there are three ways I can start my server. The first thing is I just go ahead and double click on this jar file. When I hand over this, you just double click on that file. You would see this pop-up over here, and the first time installation may take some 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. Now when this launch bar comes up till here, right? That is when the server will start, and it will also open a welcome page for you. Okay, so let's wait for that completion. Okay, now right now, how to access any URL in AEM? Right, all I need to do is HTTP followed by the server name. In my case, it's running on localhost, so I'll say localhost colon port number. Okay. So I'm running on 4504. So the moment you do that, it will bring you to this welcome screen. You key in admin as username and password. So you will be taken inside the server. Okay. This is the first way of starting the server. Okay. The second way of starting, now when I want to shut down the server, okay, don't use this close button. Rather, just click on this toggle switch over here. Okay. That will shut down the server, and wait for 20-30 seconds so that this port, that 4504 that it started, will be released. Similarly, if I want to have another author instance along with 4504, then I will have another one server can run only on a single port. So I'll have another server with 4506 port. My third server will run on 4508 port. Okay. So what I would have to do here is go inside CRX quick start, inside bin folder. All you need to do is double click on the start.bat. Okay, that's the second way. Or yeah, you could do that. Or the second way, better way here is I will go and say command prompt. I'll open up a PowerShell. Whenever you have a jar file, in general, how do you execute a jar file? Java minus jar cq hyphen author hyphen p4504.jar. Okay. Now here I can add the parameters, right? Now in general in Java, you can look, there are two areas in my memory, right? One is heap and one is stack. So sometimes when you're running on large Java applications, you encounter out of memory errors. So in such case, you add these tuning parameters during startup, right? Where you go and allocate maximum heap size, right? So I could allocate 2 GB or 4 GB or whatever size that I feel is relevant. So how do I add those? Minus XMX stands for maximum heap size. XMS stands for minimum heap size. So during startup, I can allocate memory. So all I need to do is XMX, right? So I'm allocating a GB of memory during startup. There is also one more area in memory called permanent generation. Okay, they also call it as perm gen. Okay, so this is an area in memory which is a reflection of everything that your JVM holds, right? It has information about all the methods, objects, everything in your JVM. Okay, again, sometimes when you encounter out of memory, you go and add a tuning parameter by giving a higher value to this guy. Okay, so I will add both these parameters. I'm running on 4504, so I'll copy this. CQ hyphen author. Oh, okay. I need to go one level behind. Hold on. Just a minute, guys. Okay. Now I enter that command. Okay. You see this? The server is starting up again. Give it some time. So what happens, right, in the backend, right? I know that the server is starting, right? There is a folder called CRX Quick Start that automatically gets generated in the same location. That's the step number one. Okay. To troubleshoot, like let's say somebody says, hey, I've tried to start my server, but nothing is happening, right? So how do I troubleshoot my AEM instance? So you would go to System Console. So when you go to this URL, right, /system, I've added this in your class notes, so you don't need to make any notes. When you go to System Console, right, for your AEM server to start up, right, there is something called bundles here, right? We don't know what bundles is. There is a transition of the bundles. Like, let me stop the server and start it, so you will understand that. Again, to shut down, don't use this close button. Do a graceful termination by saying Control C, so that all the hooks that it holds is released. Okay. The way you would start is, again, use this command. Says, okay. In the backend, there is a transition of these bundles that you see, right, from install to active state. Admin. See, initially 131 were active, 300 were in the installed state. There is a transition from install to active. I can say that my server has successfully started when all the bundles come to the active state. Okay, see, now 109 installed, 305 active. Now again, if I refresh, 101 installed, 316 active. Now again, if I refresh, there is a transition of bundles from install to active. So if somebody says, hey, I'm on production and my AEM instance isn't running, the first thing you will do is go to the system console and see if all the bundles are in the active state. Yeah. 470, all the 470 bundles are active. Okay. Do you see this? This is the way you start your AEM. This is the second way to again shut down. Now, between first and second way of starting, which one do you think is a better way? Any answers? Any thoughts? Any flexibility in the command prompt, or you're able
Manish,
to
this
hear?
is
Yes.
Subbu here.
Yeah.
We can allocate the memory because suppose I'm using a 6 GB of RAM. Okay, I can allocate some memory, 3 GB of RAM. I can utilize that one. Rest of the things.
Correct. So second way is better. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. That's right. Okay. There is another way of starting the AEM server. So you'll go to CRX Quick Start. Right? So like any server, right, you would usually have a bin folder and all these things. Bin folder usually has the startup and stop scripts. Okay? Now inside bin you will go. There is something called start.bat and stop.bat, and obviously batch files don't execute on Linux machine, so you would have to have an bash or a shell script. So that's also already built in over here. Right? You see this? This is a shell script. There is a bin bash over here. Right? So because I'm on Windows machine, I'll just double click the start.bat and let's wait for the server again. If you see, let's wait. Okay, let's wait. To stop it, okay, just use the stop.bat and let's restart it. Oh, it's actually trying to start on 4502. Four 70 out of all 470 are active. Right? Now again, to add the parameters, you can also set the heap memory, PRM size, the way you want to start the server, whether it is author mode or whether it is publish mode, the port number, right? Everything can be set over here. Having said that, now among one, two, three ways, is there any limitation in this third way from what we are seeing? Right, I'm also able to set the parameters. So between 2 and 3, which one do you think is better? Any thoughts?
Third one is more manual thing you are doing. Everything you are defining in a bat file.
Correct. In the third way, I can only start if the CRX quick start is generated. And when will the CRX quick start get generated? Only when I start the server in the first or the second way for my first time.
Okay.
You agree with
Okay.
me, right? Yeah, that's a subsequent startups. I can tune everything over here and just double clicking this one. And also on production, you will not keep stopping the servers very frequently. Do you agree with me on that one? Okay. Having said that, I want to introduce you to one more concept. Now this is standalone installation, right? Whenever I want to build any web application, I need one web server to run, right? Because my web server will only enable my application to run over the web. Now this way of installation is standalone installation, which means you are not dependent on any external servers. When I start this, right? Also, one web server is running in the backend. That's called Apache. That's called Jetty web server. That itself is running as a bundle. So the significance of bundle over here, my entire application is made up of these bundles. These are all system bundles. Every bundle has a state associated to it. Right? That state is here, active or installed. Right? I could stop this bundle. I could take away this bundle from memory. Right? I could refresh all the Java classes that it imports, or I could also uninstall this. Right? So there is a status associated to every bundle. Right? Now, having said that, right, there is one bundle called, there is a web server that's getting started, and that web server itself is coded as a bundle. Bundle is nothing but a jar file. Okay, that there is no big thing over here. Bundle is a simple jar, and that jar has metadata associated to it. It's a simple jar. So my entire web server itself is actually packaged as a bundle. So if you see, it's Apache. Okay, so it's Apache. Jetty is the web server that AEM starts when I start the application. So if you look at Jetty web server, right, you see that this Jetty is a Java HTTP server and a Java servlet container. Okay, this is a very high performance server. Now you feel there are two options, right? One is most of the 99% of your AEM installations use standalone, this method of starting. If you feel, hey, what is difference between app server and web server? Anybody? So sometimes you want, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you can run EAR in app server. Okay, and the web application server you cannot run EAR. Okay, that is more transactional based. That one.
Correct. It will give you like EJB content, whatever. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
correct.
correct. Yeah, correct.
So if you feel like, hey, my legacy, it already has large any WebLogic or any app server. On top of that, if I want to run my AEM, you also get a WAR installation of AEM. So you will go ahead and deploy WAR on that. So the problem with that approach is you will have two configurations to manage. One is all the AEM configurations and one is all your WAR server configurations. Right? So that's, for that case, you need a WAR installation of AEM. So when you work for a client, you will get a license associated to your client. So if your client has a WAR server, you will need to get the AEM WAR installation from Adobe, okay, WAR distribution. Then depending on which server you're trying to install, I've added one URL. You can just follow the steps in case you encounter this scenario in future. Right? Like let's say I'm using Oracle WebLogic. The steps for installing WebLogic, you will get WAR installation from Adobe. And I don't have the WAR installation. Okay, that's a tag to your client. These are the steps. So depending on any in future, if you encounter this, these are the steps you need to follow. Okay. Now, what are some history of AEM we need to understand? Right? AEM was started as Day CQ. Right? CQ stands for communique. So sometimes people say Adobe CQ, CQ, AEM. Right? All these are synonyms, one and the same. This one was started out of Basel in Switzerland in the year 2010. Right? On when it was version 5.5, it gained a lot of popularity and Adobe took over this product CQ. Okay, then they started calling it as Adobe CQ. Then the product kept evolving, right? Then 5.6.1 evolved, so 5.5, 5.6.1, 6 came, 6.1, 6.2, 6. This is the version. 5.7, 5.8 is not there. After 5.6.1, 6 came, 6.1 came, 6.2, 6.3, no 6.4 also available in the market. Okay, this is the, so when it was version 5.6.1, Adobe thought of naming it as Adobe Experience Manager or AEM. Okay, that is the naming here. And then whenever you open the AEM welcome page, there are two kinds of rendering, okay, in AEM. So typically, if you see this green color background, this is a legacy view that is called classic UI, right? All the green colored background, green colored themes. Okay, see here, this is class, but this is not a responsive framework. The same thing when I open up some page. See this here, all the green colored background, green colored themes, right? This is called as a Sidekick. This is where all the components are available. You can just drag and drop a component that you want. For example, I can add an image over here. I can add a text over here. This way you can do whatever you want over here. So this one is based on a JavaScript framework, right? All those green colored themes, those widgets, authoring dialogues, everything is based on. We will have a detailed discussion as we proceed. This is based on EXTJS framework. It's a non-responsive framework. Any page, right? You would say welcome.html, that's the index page, and this page to, if you add CF hash, CF means content finder, where you see all these images, videos, everything, so that you can drag and drop to this component. Right? Instead of this image, I can drop this image. This is called content finder. This is called, this floating palette here is called Sidekick. Okay. Then the second, starting from 5.6.1 onwards, right? They thought of introducing a responsive authoring framework, right? The scenario I gave yesterday, where you want authors to use mobile devices for authoring, right? A classic scenario is where they're capturing live images at a disaster site. In such, excuse me. So in such cases, you need to enable them to use Touch UI. Here, this has a black colored background. So instead of welcome.html, I'll add projects.html. You see here, black colored background, all the sites, right? Everything is available over here. But this one, so when you resize your browser, it adjusts itself. Right. So this is Touch UI. So this is based on Coral UI and Granite UI. Right? They had their two frameworks. That when we create the Touch UI widgets, you will understand this is a responsive framework. Now, by default, right? Whenever, right, there's something called route mapping. Right? The moment you enable, right, if you just add slash, it's actually routing you to Touch UI home welcome page, right? This Touch UI. In case you feel, hey, my project is not even using touch UI, I want everything on classic UI. When I give root, if I want to go to this welcome.html, right, that is actually handled by a configuration over here. Okay. That config is called here, instead of touch, make it as classic. See, let's change it. There's something called route mapping. So everything, my server behavior is actually configured as a OSGI config over here. Instead of projects, I'll make it as the way I did this is, right, observe this one, go to OSGI configuration. How to come to this one? System console, that's already on your notes. Now if I say root, see this? Does everybody understand what I'm trying to convey? If I make it root, now it brings. So this way you can actually change the way your server behaves. Till here, is everyone clear? Does anybody have any questions?
Rajesh, okay, what's the difference between classic UI and touch UI? I didn't
Okay,
understand.
yeah. So this touch UI is a responsive framework, right? If I resize the layout, see here. Now I'm on classic. If I
Okay.
resize, you see this horizontal scroll bar.
Mm-hmm.
This is a legacy. You don't want people to use scroll like this way. You
Okay,
want
correct, correct.
responsive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
touch UI is a responsive framework.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Okay,
this will
understand.
come, yeah, that's what I was trying to convey.
Okay,
A black
thank
colored
you.
background, and more importantly, all your Adobe Marketing Cloud, right? AEM is the CMS part. You also have Adobe Analytics, Adobe Target,
Mm,
right? All these other
correct.
solutions have these widgets, right? There is a consistent look and feel because it's best. It also has a black colored background, like if you go into analytics and see widgets look and feel.
Mm,
So somebody using 2 3 solutions, it will be easy
mm.
because the same kind of widget will be available over there.
Okay, okay.
Uniform interface, right? That's the advantage.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, hi Rajesh, this is Kashyap.
Hi Kashyap.
Yeah. Will you give installation for Mac as well? So I heard about Windows. So will you give installation for Mac as well? 6.3 installation.
Okay, so Mac or any this jar, right? This
Okay.
is JDK. So JDK
Okay.
runs across all OS. It is just that you
Okay.
need the JDK for Mac when you're installing.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay.
everything will run.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So can I know the difference between Coral and a Granite UI?
Yeah, that we are going to cover when we start that. We are going
Okay.
getting into detail at that point when I talk about that. You'll understand.
Okay. Thank you.
Kashyap, yeah, I think you were not there for yesterday's demo. Would you like
No.
to?
No, actually, Srinivas have already shared me that demo videos. So I went through it. No issues. We can
Okay,
start.
so you're based out of what time zone? A quick introduction, if
Uh,
possible.
I'm based out of Indian time zone.
Mm.
So I have 2 years of experience. Basically, I'm into Angular and Node.js, and I know basic of Java. not extensive Java, but basic whatever you mentioned in yesterday's class that I'm familiar with. So the company which I'm working are trying to get into this AEM content management. So we are already working with the Drupal content management system. So we are trying to get into AEM. So I thought I'll get into some classes and have a certification. Yeah. So my aim will be my basic aim will be getting a certification.
Okay,
Yeah.
Keshav, thanks for the introduction. Okay, guys. This is all I had for today. Few things. Now this batch we are planning to begin. All right, the second session we are planning to have it. I don't know the time zone, so basically you would have to confirm your enrollments with Srinivas. So I heard that one or two people have already done that. Right, so depending on that, right, we can begin the batch. I'm thinking to begin the second session in the next 1 or 2 days, but tomorrow or day after, so that we get all the enrollments. So you'll have to confirm with Srinivas. I think there's some payment that he expects. You can coordinate with him about that one.
Okay.
And so once we receive those, I can share the distribution with you so that you can work on this. I will also share this notes with you.
Okay.
And there's also one PDF, right? That's the way. I think we planning to begin this. He told me next Monday, so we are thinking of tomorrow or day after. That date will be coordinated for the second session because we're waiting for all the enrollments from you, and then we can begin. Okay, that's the idea.
Yeah. So yesterday and today was a demo session, right? So
Yeah.
after the payment
Today
is
was
done, you.
first session one. Yesterday was
Okay.
demo. Next will be session two, where I will talk about the architecture of AEM.
Okay. So next session is where you're taking us into a core level of AEM.
Yeah, this is already core. Without starting the server, we cannot go to core. So it's already started. Everything is core only.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Rajesh, I had one question. So how this tutorial will be effective for my certification? So
Mm. So for certification, if you go to training Adobe, when you click on certification, they will say prerequisite is to have training or working experience of AEM.
okay.
Obviously, we cannot work without training.
Yeah.
So the training is a prerequisite for the certification. And whatever we are doing, it is actually the way Adobe does the training. They
Okay.
charge $2,000. We don't charge $2,000. That's the only difference. The topic
Okay.
wise, quality wise, material handovers, everything we are doing similar to Adobe only.
Okay. Okay. So all these materials and videos will be forwarded to us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It will
Thank you.
be only on read only mode, that videos.
Okay. No issues. Yeah.
Download that one.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh.
Okay, guys. So we will catch up. Srini will coordinate on the next session. Try to finish all the enrollments if you're interested, and let's meet in the next session. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for your time. Bye. I will share the moment the enrollment is there. Srini will send me an email with your email IDs. So I will share the distribution. So stay tuned after the enrollment is over. Okay. You can expect an email from AEM training 1 or 2. That's my email. You can expect a distribution from that one.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. Thanks for your time. Bye.